Hey everybody, this is Rotten coming at you from the interwebs. Welcome to my first video. Never done one of these before. Don't expect perfection. There's going to be a lot of ums and ahs and I don't knows and, uncomfortable pauses as I try to fumble my way through providing a presentation for you. The intention of this video is for some of my new players that join my online Dungeons & Dragons game through Foundry VTT. Now this is version 12. It should be applicable to version 13 as well. Okay. What you're seeing in front of you right now is the login screen for one of my Foundry servers. You would get to this screen through a URL I would have provided through an email or a text message or a Discord message. In addition to the URL, I probably would have provided the username, which typically is your character's name, and a password, which would have been either provided by you or I would have made for you. So to access the server and get onto it, all you do is click on this drop-down menu, select your character, and then put in your password. Click on Join Game Session, and it should log you into the server. Like I said, this should be good for version 13 as well as version 12, which is the version that we're currently running. Now what you can see right now is your, in the center there, this is your main canvas. It's being hidden a little bit by this dialog called Simple Calendar. This is just an add-on module for Foundry that I've added to keep track of dates and times and stuff. It's not important right now, so we'll just close it. And this is the main canvas. In order to move around the canvas, you can right-click on the canvas and kind of pan it around, just like that, okay? The token that's selected right now is the token that's associated with a specific account. Now, in order to move your token, you can use either your arrow keys on your keyboard, or you can use old school WASD keys, which will move you, the same as the arrow keys, basically. So if I want to move right, I can move right using the right arrow key, up, left, down. And if I do W, I'll start with D, W, A, S. Okay. Notice that the token didn't turn to face the direction that I was moving. In order to turn your token, you want to hold Shift, then click one of the directional keys. So if I do Shift left, it'll turn my token left. If I do Shift right, it'll turn my token right, followed by just movement right. Turn left, movement left, and then I'll look down. That's basically all I'm going to get into for token movement right now. You can drag your token as well. So if I click on my token and drag over here, my token will just move over here. Okay. Now with version 13, the token does automatically turn in the direction that you're traveling, but you'll see that once you get to version 13. We're focused on version 12 right now. I'll come back to the token in a little bit and things you can do to access other areas through the token. I just want to get it to the interface first and then work my way around and then back to the token. Now down on the bottom left-hand side is the kind of players list. You'll see that the game master and this particular player character, Actia Darkthorn, is logged into the machine. Okay, I'm logged in under GM on another machine. That's why you see that there. I can get to some basic settings for Actia. I can look at their player avatar through right-clicking on the name. I can also go into user configurations, which gives me access to some basic configuration. Can't change the name, but I can change my avatar picture, pick a color, put in my player pronouns if I so wish, and then basically any changes you can just click on Save Player Configuration, it'll save it. Okay. Moving up the interface on the left-hand side, you have these icons. The icons on the left are kind of like your main icons, and the icons on the right are the sub-icons to the selected main icon. The only area you really need to focus on right now is the token control icon. You'll get into the other icons through use of Foundry. It's not something that we need to get into right now. So if we have the main token icon or token control selected, you'll have these sub-icons available to you. First one is the select tokens icon or sub icon. Just hovering over top of it, Foundry is really helpful, and it provides you all sorts of insight on, what you can do. You can click and drag, shift click, and it just kind of tells you. So take some time and kind of look through the options that Foundry provides to you and try them out for yourself when you're within the interface, during your session 0 or whatever. But basically, this is basically for selection. The one below it is for targeting. So if I go back to selection, I can, basically only select myself because that's all I have control over. I can't select anything that I do not have control over, including the enemies. Okay, so I can only select myself. So if I'm not selected, I could easily just select myself. Okay. It's handy for things like, items and stuff like that that could be on the canvas that you can select, not just tokens. Okay, if I want to target a bad guy, I can click the target icon and then I can click to target that bad guy. Okay, if I want to click the target off, I can just click off somewhere and it'll deselect or detarget that particular foe or enemy. If I want to do multiple enemies, I can click and hold shift and then click another enemy and I get both of them selected. And if I want to deselect them, I can, again, just click off. Now, a fast way of doing things, instead of going to this target icon, is using the T on your keyboard. I can do basically the same thing. If I hover my mouse over top of the troll, I can click T to target, and I can click off to deselect, or I can click T to target. I can hit T again to deselect as well. If I want to do multiples, I can shift, click T again if I want to click on or target both the dragon and the troll at the same time. Okay. Moving underneath target is measurement. Let's say I want to figure out, if one of my spells that has a specific range will hit something without actually casting the spell. I can click and drag just to see, like if I'm looking at that dragon, it's 25 feet away. So anything that has an effective range up to and including 25 feet, or, I should be able to hit it. Okay, same with if I look at the troll's only 5 feet. If I look at this other character, they're 20 feet, and this other character, they're 10 feet. So it's just an easy way to do some simple measurements to see if you hit things. Okay, I'm 30 feet to the tent. The next icon, that coffee cup icon on the right over here, that's not part of Foundry Core. That's something that I add into it. And it's just a icon that allows players to, or even myself, to let people know that I'm stepping away for a break. So if I click the icon, you'll see that within the chat and over top of the token, there's a little message that says I'm stepping away for a second. When I'm back, I can just click back on it. It says that you're back. And it's just an easy way without interrupting the game or others to let people know that you have to step away, because Amazon is at the front door ringing, dropping off a package or something. The next icon is clear blood icon. This group likes to have, I guess you can say, blood droplet indicators when they hit, their bad guys. So sometimes you have a lot of bad guys and they get hit and there's blood all over the place. So this is just a quick way to clean up those blood splats, I guess you can say. Okay, by clicking that. That's not really important right now. If you have it during your game or this is installed, then by all means, now you know how to clear your blood droplets. And the last one is clearing all targets. So if by chance I have the troll selected, I can clear the troll off. Okay. And that's basically all you need to know from this toolbar right now. If things come up in the future and the DM needs you to go into toolbars or you need to do something specific, you're going to learn a lot along the way. This is just, again, to get you started. Up near the top, beside the Foundry icon here, is the navigation area. It just shows a list of scenes that you have access to. Right now, there's only one scene that this player has access to, which is the training grounds. You can see that they're in the training grounds because there's a little colored A in a circle, which is the same as the colored A in a circle down the player list. That shows the other people as well as, that could be in it, like other party members, that this particular player is within this scene. The black dot is associated with the game master, which is down in the left-hand corner as well. You'll see that that circle and black dot is associated with the GM. Okay, and as you have more access to more scenes that you could travel to, then they would be shown up here at the top. Moving across is your kind of right-hand panel. The right-hand panel has a bunch of tabs along the top of it. Not all of them are important for you when you first start out. We're just going to get into ones that are. The first one is your chat. Okay, the chat is kind of the main hub of Foundry, I guess you can say. Everything you do basically shows up in the chat. Like if you say something, it shows up in the chat. If you swing at a monster to hit it, it shows up in the chat. If you do damage, you roll damage, it shows up in the chat. So the chat is kind of like everything goes into that chat. It just, it's just this long running kind of, I can't say journal, because we do have journals, but it just, it just keeps track of everything that happens, I guess you could say. Beside the chat tab is the combat encounters tab. The combat encounters tab is something that would be populated if these tokens and adversaries were in combat. Now, I can't go into combat because I'm not logged in under the GM. I could on my other computer, but it's not really necessary right now. What you'd see in this area if we were in combat would be a list of all combatants, the ability to roll initiative, and once you've rolled initiative, that list of combatants would reorder to be in the order of initiative, and it would show you whose turn it is, it would show you who's up next, that kind of thing. So that's all under the encounter tab. Next is the actors tab, the items tab, which aren't very important right now. We'll go into the journals tab. Now, the journal is important for me and my players, as I often provide a player's journal. And within a player's journal, the players basically put whatever they want. This is a place where they can, add notes, they can add clues, they can share a page, and just everybody add to that specific page, or they can have a page that they create. If you look down at add a page for every person in the party, so everybody else would have their own page. It's just a means to keep notes within Foundry instead of having a piece of paper that you're madly writing on with a real pen and that you could lose, etc. It's all within Foundry. Below that is another journal that I provided, which is a handouts journal. Nothing's shown right now, but I would have things like if players find an item and I have a picture of it, I could put it provide it to them as a handout, and they can come back to it at any time and take a look at that picture, maps, that kind of thing would be available through my handouts within the journals. Beside that is roll tables, not really important right now. Card stacks, not really important right now. Playlists. Playlist is important because it just allows you to control the volume of different types of sounds within Foundry. Within Foundry, DMs can provide music for scenes, so you can lower the music or make it louder. Environmental sounds like rivers and wind and stuff like that. You can adjust that as well. In addition to interface sounds, let's say a click of a trap or something like that, you can adjust that sound as well. Okay, so this is an important area just to keep in mind if you need to adjust sounds. Next to that is compendiums. Ignoring everything except for the player's handbook. You can go into the other stuff as well. If it's available here, feel free to take a look at it. But basically the most important one is the player's handbook that I provide access to all my players. Within the player's handbook, you can just expand it out, and within that you can, go into any area basically. If there's roll tables, equipment you want to look at, spells you want to look at, feats, origins for characters, classes. There's the main player's handbook area here, and within that, let's say I'm interested in looking at the Beastmaster, okay, or Ranger Beastmaster. Gives me more information about that just by clicking on it, and I can kind of follow through on the left-hand side. It's kind of like a menu or a table of contents, and you can click on whatever area you're interested in, and you can read more about it. Cool thing about Foundry is if you have, little indicators like this little journal icon with the dash that's underlined, you can hover over top of it, and it'll provide more information about whatever's linked. That's an indicator of a link, and it just provides more information. Now, let's say, for instance, if I find one of them here, let's just go to Ranger here. Okay. Sometimes you have those pop-up little windows that are very long, and sometimes they have scrolls, the ability to scroll because you can't see everything. Pop-ups, typically, if you have them popped up and you move over top of them, they disappear. With Foundry, this one says middle click to lock. If I wanted to go over top of that little pop-up and scroll down, I would middle click my left or my middle mouse button, and that allows me to go over top of it so I can do whatever I want. I could scroll, etc. Once I move off, it'll disappear. So that's kind of cool thing about Foundry. A lot of stuff is linked, so you can follow the links within the journals, in addition to some of these compendiums, and get more information. Okay, closing that, let's move over to the settings. You don't want to go into the settings and just start changing things. Anything that you change in the settings, like the DM has set the initial settings. So if you do decide to change things, or you want to change things, or you're having problems, make sure you talk to your DM and give them insight on what you're experiencing so that they can try to help you overcome some of the problems you may be having. Don't just go there and change things, because it could change things for everybody else. So things are set the way they are right now for a reason. Bring your problems to the DM, and we'll try to solve them, I guess you could say. But to give you an example of a setting that can be set by players initially, let's look at dice. Okay, players have the ability to adjust or customize the dice that they roll. So if I go into here's a list of modules within this world, I guess you can say, that's set up. And let's look for something called Dice So Nice right there. And if I click on the 3D settings for Dice So Nice, it gives me access or the ability to configure or to customize my own dice. Okay, so when it's rolled on the interface, you'll know which one is yours. So there are times the DM may say, hey, everybody roll me a perception check. And then everybody rolls, and you got all these dice rolling around on that canvas. You don't really know which one's yours. This allows you to customize so you do know which one's yours. Now, I'm not going to go into the settings or change this, because this is a real player's account, and I don't want to mess with the dice that they took time to customize themselves. But I will do a test roll so you can see what they look like. So I just did a test roll, and that kind of gives you, an idea of, well, it shows you what the dice will be like once you accept it. Once you're done with it and you're happy with the look of your dice, just press save. So that's an example of settings or individual user settings. And there are some of them out there that you can change that just changes things for you. But again, before you get into settings, please consult your DM. Okay. Now let's move over back to the chat. Okay. And if we look at the bottom part of the chat, there's where you actually typed in like your message. So if I wanted to say something to everybody, I can just say hello. You'll see that goes into the chat message in addition to a bubble appearing over top of your token and saying what you say. So if it was a long sentence, it would all be there. I don't have these bubbles turned on all the time. Some GMs don't like them at all and turn them off right away. But expect that anything that you say, if it's public, will be shown in the chat. Okay, even if it's a whisper, if you're whispering to another player, you'll see it in your chat and they'll see it in their chat. So any action that you take will be shown within this chat. Now, another interesting thing that you can do within this chat is roll dice. If I want to roll a d20, I can do a /r space 1d20, press enter, and it rolls a d20. Okay. There's all sorts of different dice formulas out there, and you can learn them and memorize them and put them in a chat. But the fastest way to do dice rolls is to use the dice tray that's below it. Now, the dice tray, which is in the bottom right-hand corner of the interface, basically allows you to roll without having to manually input that formula. So if I want to roll a d20, I can just hit a d20. Click on roll, and away I go. Okay. If I want to do 2d20, I can click d20 twice, roll again. It rolls 2d20. Gotta love those nat ones. Anyway, if I want to roll that d20 with the disadvantage, I would click the d20 disadvantage, then roll, and it's going to keep the lowest roll. Okay. Within the chat itself, you can expand out the roll to see what's happened within that roll. So it shows me that I rolled an 11 and a 14. It kept the lowest, which was 11. That's why I have 11. If I did something like roll 2d20, I can say let's say +5, and then I rolled. Okay, 2d20 +5. I had a 12 and a 3. It picked the 12. Oh, I guess it added both of them. Yeah, it added both of them because I rolled 2d20. I didn't say keep the highest or with advantage. So I added them together, gave me 15 plus 6 is 21. And that's how I got that 21. So that's how you can use the dice tray below it. Okay, just mess around with it, have some fun. Right beside that is your frames per second. This is so you as a player can keep an eye on how your computer is doing rendering that's being shown on the screen itself. Anything between from 30 to 60 frames per second is good. The lower you go, of course, it's better to be 60 than 30. And that can change based upon the amount of stuff that's happening on the canvas itself. Now, I tend to really tone things back when I first start out with a new group, just because if I add in animations and all sorts of fancy stuff and people are having issues, you don't really know what's causing the issues. So what I tend to do is I start really thin, and over time I add more things to enhance the experience of my players. Now, so if you're seeing that your frames per second is going down, again below 30, then please let me or your GM know so that they can begin to look at why that's happening. You know, basically your computer's having problems keeping up with rendering what's going on the screen itself. Okay, so keep an eye on that. Next thing is your character sheet. If you want to get to your character sheet, just double click on your token. It opens your character sheet. Okay, your character sheet, the first page, your general tab, and again, the tabs down that you can access are down the right hand side of this character sheet. The general tab, the details tab, is the first one that you'll see when you first go into it. That shows the character name, their class, what level they are. Again, what level here. There's buttons if you want to take long and short rests. There's an indication of inspiration, all sorts of other things that you would find in a regular character sheet, like your AC, your initiative, your initiative bonus, your proficiency bonus, your walk speeds, hit points, hit dice that you have, your skills and all the associated pluses or minuses for your skills. Same thing with your abilities, saving throws, information about being humanoid or, whatever you are. You know what I mean? If your class, or it's not your class, but your background or your species, what your background is, any other information associated with your character can be found within this first details tab. Going down the tab, you get your inventory. Inventory is everything that you're carrying, your staff, strike, that's an action, your dagger, clothes, that kind of thing. You have containers such as your backpack, pouches. You can swap things back and forth between your containers and what you're carrying. Shows you the amount of gold that you have. Moving down from there, your features are associated with your class, your background, your species, any feats that you have, that kind of thing. Again, hovering over top of it gives you more information about it. Moving down to your spells, again, your spells, same thing. Hovering over top of it gives you more information about it. Keep in mind that everything within Foundry is an item. So, a sword is an item, a spell is an item, a potion's an item, gold is an item, that kind of thing. So you can hover over top of it again and get more information about it. We'll get into actually casting and hitting something with a weapon in a second. Moving down is your effects, passive effects. Now we get this luck point passive effect, or this lucky passive effect from the lucky feat. Any conditions that have been applied to you. For some instance or some reason, your character gets frightened. The DM or you can turn on the frightened condition, which means that your character is frightened, and you can, get more information about being frightened again by hovering over top of it. This right here up in the top right hand, top right beside the panel is due to another module that I've installed, so that won't be there for every Foundry installation. Okay, but it's just a quick way to see this without going into your character sheet. I'll turn that off. And next is your background. Now these players haven't finished their characters yet. In order to go in and edit your background, there's a little toggle up in the top right of or top left of the character sheet. Just click it, toggle it, and then you can add in any information you wish. If you toggle that back off, then everything gets saved. Okay, that's your character sheet. There's a little favorites area here where you can add things that you would use more often. Let's say, for instance, if I go into my inventory and I wanted to add my dagger to my favorite, because I often go between hitting with my staff and using a dagger. I can drop that dagger into my favorite, so that no matter what tab I'm on, that's available to me. Now I'm going to remove that just because I don't want to change what this character has set up for themselves. However, this character sheet does take up a lot of space, and if I'm in combat and I'm trying to move around, I kind of have to play with things so that I can see everything on the screen itself, and I would rather a little bit more real estate available, so it's cooler looking. I don't want to have to look at this character sheet all the time, and that's where this hotbar down in the bottom, kind of center left, comes in. And this hotbar is kind of like, where you can click and drag, I guess it's click and drag any item. So if I clicked on that dagger, let's just say, click the drag and dragged it down, I can drag it down to that hotbar and add it to the hotbar so that it's accessible to me. So it kind of does the same as this favorites area on the character sheet, but adds it to the main interface so it's always available to me. So I'm going to close that character sheet now, and I'm going to get rid of that dagger. Okay, so dagger's off the hotbar. So here I have a bunch of things that this player has put into their hotbar, and I'm going to show you how to use them. Again, you would achieve the same effect by clicking the item within the character sheet. So if I wanted to target or try to hit this troll with my staff, I would target. Again, I could either use this button up here, or I could use the T on my keyboard while hovering my mouse over top of it. T on my keyboard, and if I want to try to hit that particular troll, I can click my staff, and it brings up a little attack dialogue. I'm rolling normally to see if I hit it, and I rolled an 18. It's asking me if I want to use my luck point. Not going to get into that right now. I'm going to cancel, and you'll see that I hit. So if the result comes back and it's green, it means something good. So I successfully hit that troll. Also, an indicator of my success is this damage dialogue comes up as well. I'm going to roll for damage normally. I get 1 point of damage. Problem is that my damage is 1d6 minus 1. So I only had 1, so that makes it 0. So I didn't do any damage to the troll itself. Let's try rolling it again. I'm going to roll with advantages to make sure I hit. And I hit with a 16. I'm going to roll damage again. And again, 1, so you're not going to see any damage on this guy, which is terrible. Let's try to cast a spell. I'm going to try Firebolt this time. Firebolt, I'm going to do normal. Roll the 13. I'm not going to use my luck point, and I hit with an 18 because of my bonuses. I'm going to do normal damage on him. I do 5 points of damage, and you'll see this time that I have 5 points of damage done. And the token was put, you saw something that said bleeding. That means that I set mine up so that tokens are identified as bleeding if they hit 50% of the hit points. So if they've gone down 50% of their hit points, then they're bleeding. Okay, so these are indicators basically saying what the foe looks like, I guess. And it doesn't necessarily have to be foe, it could be an ally as well. So this one's saying it's badly injured. And that's because visually I can see that whomever I'm fighting is badly injured. Okay, so that's kind of an idea of how combat works in Foundry VTT, and to get you started. Again, it gets a lot more in depth than that, but this is a great start for you to kind of feel a little bit more comfortable and to get off and running with using this application with playing D&D. And I think with that kind of brings me to everything I wanted to go through with this particular video. If you have questions, please throw them in the comments below. Please like, subscribe. This is something that I'm going to continue doing, so I'm hoping that I can put out videos that will help people. Trying to not to make it long, but I'm still learning how to to consolidate everything and make things as short as possible while still getting my message across. So apologies for the long video, but I'm trying, and I will in time get better, and I'll be able to make them a lot shorter. So again, like, subscribe, leave comments below. I'd really appreciate it, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.